All right, so let's get started. So first of all, welcome everybody. Hello. Oh yeah. We'll get started here. Welcome everybody. I'll do a quick round of introductions. For the table here, I got two guys at the looking at the weeds already. So I got Counselor Caroline, Counselor Lonnie, Counselor Derek, Mandy from Real Leaf, myself, Dwayne, Counselor Napoleon Collins. So how it all started is we had a band member, Shane Freeman. He's got a partner here. I don't know what extent of a partnership they have. They could kind of go into those details after. But he approached our table asking if we'd be interested in doing a cannabis store here. We were honest and we said, we're gonna take it to the people. That's not really our decision. We want the people to kind of make the decision if they're interested in something like that. There's no commitment to them or nothing right now. They're just here to do a presentation and answer any questions anybody will have, and then we'll go from there. We do have a survey online that we're hoping everybody could fill out. We do have some survey papers here as well. If you didn't get a survey, come and see Johnny or Mike. They'll have the papers there for you. But yeah, that's kind of it. We just want to do a presentation. Like I said, nothing's been signed, nothing's been sealed. We want the people's permission before we want to move it. We know this has been a sour point, like cannabis, liquor, and all that stuff. Driftball's always kind of been against that, but these are times are changing. There's some ups and downs to it, like the benefit of the medical side, which these gentlemen will explain. That seems to be helping a lot of the people with pains and arthritis and whatnot. So there is some pros and some cons, and obviously it's going to be up to the people to decide if they want to move forward with this. And it's just our doing our job to bring opportunities to Driftball. So with that being said, I'll just hand it over to Mandy, and he could do his presentation. Then we'll go into questions and go from there.
Hello. Hello. Hi, everybody. I'd like to thank Chief and Council for having me out today, Dev, Johnny, and all the people out here. So I'm from Realeaf. What we do, we bring medical cannabis to First Nations. Right now, we have 6 stores. They're all in Saskatchewan right now, and we supply about 5 or 6 other ones. Um, our difference, what we do is for the nations, we go under our own regime. So we focus more on the medical side of things with the creams and the tinctures, and we do have actually the best cannabis as well. So um, when it comes to that point, a lot of people will think like a lot of bad things about cannabis and it's a drug and this and that. But if you look into the research and you know the difference between like an opioids and cannabis, you'll see that cannabis is actually a good natural medicine, right? Um, there's a lot we also provide the education. So in a government store, they're not allowed to tell you anything about the products and what it can do and what it can help. But in our stores, we train our staff to be able to give you information. Like a lot of elders will come in and have like arthritis or cramps or can't sleep, and in a lot of our stores, that's our main customers is elders, right? Uh, it's just something you gotta do your research on and ask a lot of questions, and then slowly, if people come around and we're growing slowly, and it's a good community. All the stores, people will come in, and it's a place where people talk and get a lot of information, and it's good for the community. A lot of people think it'll bring druggies around or drug dealers or a negative aspect, but from all our experience, it's been very positive and happy. So um, let me think. What any questions? I could. I'm better when somebody asks me a question than I can I can answer.
I'll start you off, Shane.
Yeah,
Manny,
sure.
how many full-time positions will the store create?
This location, full-time positions would probably have 3 people on. It would probably be open from 10 to 10. Uh, So it would either be usually a full-time manager and then 4 part-time people. So I think it would create about 6 to 8 full-time, part-time and full-time positions for the nation.
All right, for the stores that they have, like you said, the government goes, they go through the government. But for you yourself that does this, do you always know what kind of merchandise you're getting? Like maybe there's a bit, some people that put a bit of opioid or something heavy in there. Because that does happen, you know. I've known that to happen to a lot of weed. That there's always something in there that's a little bit stronger.
Right. No, that's a good question. No, our suppliers are half indigenous from East Coast to West Coast. So we work with 6 nations in Mohawk territory, and then we have some people in Kelowna, Victoria. I have a place in a warehouse in Victoria, and then we also have our own kitchen, so it's all in house and lab tested. We don't lab test every batch because it gets real expensive, but we do a lot of random lab testing, and I've had the same vendors for over 5 years. So it's also very secure vendors and very good medical growers. Like a lot of our growers are from the MMAR, which is the regime before the MMPR, and those growers are allowed to actually sell their cannabis, and they were court injuncted in so they can keep growing. So we have locations that have been growing for since the beginning of medical cannabis. So it's very, and a lot of people don't like the government doesn't allow a lot of high dose edibles, which are helpful with opioids and with pain. They're missing a lot of products that the medical community needs, which we provide. So, yeah. Yes, gummies. Yep. From flour to extracts, oils, edibles, topicals, creams. Um, we have transdermal patches, bath bombs. This is only a few of our items. We have many items, and we're actually expanding our warehouse and going to be making a lot more in house as well.
More questions down here?
Okay, so with this, how big would the store be and where would the store be located?
Say the first part again.
How big would the store be and where would it be?
I'm thinking about from 1,200 square feet. There's a couple of locations we have in mind. Right now, we do have what we do is a 60 by 20 trailer, and that is kind of our franchise model. There's a picture on here of one on the back, the top one there. But if there's a location here, we can take over and renovate, highly renovate, and we do the landscaping in front. It's got to be appeasable because nobody wants an ugly trailer on the property, right? You guys want something nice, but so it's about 60 by 20 if we have to bring it in. We are looking at newer models, but 60 by 20, and it has an office and a washroom and a security desk, and then it has a store, so people would enter. They'd have to go through the security desk, and then they would go into the store and be helped by the 2 cashiers, and then the third person would be the security guard checking IDs at the front.
So how long has this been a profitable business for you? How many years?
Uh, since month 1. No, it's profitable. It depends which stores. Like I'll give you my numbers. Some I won't say which nations, but some nations do as much as 200,000 in sales a month, sometimes a little more, 250, and then some nations are around like 30, 40,000. But those stores are kind of in the boonies that don't do much, and they're still profitable. But those ones we have them more secure and less workers, right? So that we can afford to keep it open. But I've been profitable, and there's no risk to the nation. I'll say too, right? So we pay for everything up front, supply, building, everything I'll pay for up front, and then as the store builds, I keep a ledger as the store builds and makes money. We slowly pay back the initial investment, and then if anything happens, like you guys will own the building or the trailer or anything like that at any time, and it's cancelable at any time. So if you guys feel like, hey, this is bringing a negative vibe, or Manny Manny sucks or something like that, you can say, hey, these are the reasons why, and that's never happened. We've actually taken over 2 stores that were failing, and now they're profitable. So I've just before this, I had about 8 medical dispensaries in Saskatchewan and BC, so I've been in this dispensary for since 10 years, at least 10 years. So I know a lot of people don't know what to buy, like what products, how much flour will go before it goes bad or dry, or like how much brownies can you make before they get dry. So there's a balance of how you do. And our POS system is the same POS system the government approves of, where we have high and low stock, and we ship it from our main warehouse to each store, and we keep a good balance of everything like that. We also provide the nation with our POS and everything is connected to QuickBooks, and we have an in-house accountant. So every month, the nation will get uh, our report of profit and sales from every receipt. Even if we go to Walmart to buy bags, or we ordering from Uline for this or that, every penny is accounted for. So that's why when we pay out we pay out the 51% of profit each month, and at the end of the year, depending on the store, if it's not like a $200,000 store, sometimes we do quarterly reports just because it gets onerous with all of the paperwork. But at the end of the year, which is April 1st right now, so by next month, all of the nations are getting a full year report, and then or a check to make up for any money that we might be owing after we reconcile everything. So that's one of our main things, because we hope to we are in talks with the government. Well, in SGLA, that's like their, what do you call the liquor board here? AGLC, right? So our hopes is work with them, but we're not under them, right? So you guys are sovereign, and you have the right for health on your nation. You're right, 81, Indian Act 81. So we also have in-house lawyers, everything like that, and we're getting stronger, and it's getting better as we go. So it would, that's up to you. That's up to you. So I started this because it says First Nation medicine. I'm a black guy, right? So I started this hoping the band would be the owner, but then we found out that with the band lawyers, I have lawyers and the band lawyers, but we all work together. So I'm sure if you guys get it vetted, they'll say, oh, this money might not be bankable because you're not licensed by AGLC. So what we do, I took ownership of the whole company, and we pay out the 51% as a lease, because then it's bankable and it's legal, and it protects the nation if there's anything like that. So I take full legal responsibility and legal actions. There any lawsuits would be on Realeaf and me, well, Realeaf and me, and yeah. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
So I'm wondering, based on the 6 locations you have in Saskatchewan, have you ever had any feedback in regards to, because like I work for CFS, and my concern is always for the children, right? So my question is, have you received any feedback from these 6 locations in regards to like parents and where they're on the hardcore stuff and then reverting to marijuana?
Yeah, we've had positive feedback where people will be on meth or strong like crack and stuff, and they'll do the high dose edible. You need the high dose edible. So like something like 50 milligram or 100 milligram thing, which we would charge. I think these are $10 in a government store. This would be 20 or $30 just because of the taxation on the milligram content. But as for weaning off harder drugs, it's known to work. I've seen it time and time again that a lot of people, like if you do a high dose edible, you're not gonna want to smoke meth. It's definitely gonna cut you down. Now, like that's I wish I could. We'll get more uh, people to give first hands. But yes, we've had parents and people be happy. Some parents will come in and buy it for their sons or daughters who are on hard drugs and give us positive feedback. Right now we're on Soto First Nation, Witchkin First Nation, Papikasi First Nation, Soto, Witchkin, there's a Thunderchild we're supplying. Sorry, there's a bunch more. Thunderchild. We also supply Cecilia. I know like the ladies' names. Um, well, we have two for Soto. Papikasi's, Sturgeon Lake. We should be opening soon. We just have a meeting with the town because it's an urban reserve. Um, and there's three more. There's a few more we supply as well. Go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, so with your stores being on the different reserves, have you noticed any decrease in the use, like I guess, of harder drugs? Take for example,
That's a
meth.
that would be a question for chief and the staff because most of our staff members are from the nations and they have said it has a positive effect. Um, the negatives. I'll give you some a negative fact. Somebody who wasn't from the nation uh, ran in one of our stores, but since we have panic buttons, we highly secure, and he for no reason. It was election time. It was really weird, and he bear sprayed the store and ran away. They pressed the panic button and they picked him up down the street, like less than 5 minutes away. So things like that's true. Things that we try to mitigate any risk of things like that, right? A lot of people will be like, hey. Some places are in the middle of nowhere. We have a lot of people that do hard drugs here. We're afraid of getting robbed. We have like just make sure staff are safe, locked doors, buzzer doors. Um, we we don't if we have like strict rules, signage. People if they're rude to staff, they have to leave. But we haven't. That's the only major problem we've ever had concerning the store itself. Um, as the people would say for the meth and the hard drugs, it has a positive effect. I would say it's having a positive effect on the people uh, that are doing that. I can get some more. I'll get some people to write some stuff, and I'll send that in to you like firsthand. Yeah, things like that.
Yeah, the question was asked to you already. That's what I was going to ask you. That when you have your store, any knowledge that you would have on the reserve that the less of the opioid that goes around just because your shop is going to be there, and it's probably a whole lot
Right. Well,
accessible to where they have to go somewhere. But I wonder if that would work like with things going on like the opioid sellers here and everything. I wonder if that would help having a store like yours in on the reserve.
I think it has had a positive effect. And say you have somebody that just wants to go get a joint or some oil, but the only guy around that they know that's open or that's around right now has meth or crack, and and he's just going, and then he might relapse because he just wants a joint, but it's in front of him. So by having the store and taking away the option where you know what I mean, it's a clean product and you don't have to worry about somebody forcing a harder drug or being around that situation where you don't want to be in that situation. Yeah.
Hi, yeah, I just have a question in regards to you were talking about like for here in Alberta we have the AGLC, right? And in Saskatchewan, I'm just wondering, is there a reason like are you guys approved? Like is your product approved in terms of what you guys are selling?
So we're regulated by the bylaws that the First Nation puts in place, right? Um, we we are not AGLC. That's there. We're not their approved. We don't have their products. We have reached out to them where we have licensed producers that want to sell to us, and we want to include their products as well. I actually have a meeting on the 29th with them. But we once the nation puts in a BCR and the bylaws and gives a lease and a business license, it's self-regulated, right?
Okay, yeah, no, I understand because we're a sovereign nation that we kind of get around some of the, you know, what we're allowed to do on reserve. But my question is more along the lines of like, is there a particular reason why you're coming to First Nations? Like, do you have any stores that are in the cities and that are regulated through those bodies?
No, this Realeaf is strictly uh, works with First Nation. So Soto First Nation is part of BATC, and they did have FN Cannabis. But since they had 5 stores to begin with, FN Cannabis and BATC. Uh, but when you're even with all that economic power, when you're dealing against like Betrocan and Canna Cabana and stuff, as even as a nation, it's so hard to compete in that realm. And I didn't want to because their products, they're getting better, but they're kind of whack. You know, like I come from the medical world where like you know, good good ganja is good ganja, and it should be. This is how it should be, right? Grassroots and strong. Um, yeah, yeah.
Okay, and then the other thing I wanted to know is you were talking about 51%. Is that what the deal is that you're proposing here? Is 49% to the nation and
No, 51% to the nation.
51% to the nation?
Right.
Okay, and then that being said, how long is it's going to be like a lease deal?
Right. We pay through the lease. The profit is paid out through a lease
Okay,
monthly.
and then what's the term?
Usually we do a 5-year term.
Okay,
Yeah.
and then following that 5-year term, what's the plan afterwards?
If we so the nation can make it a shorter term if it wants, um, but with the banking, with the liability, that's why a lot of nations choose to go with the 5149 because of the liability and the banking, getting the debit machines. There's a lot of behind the scenes stuff with the lawyers and the agencies that I take on all the responsibility. If you guys did choose to do it yourselves, it's kind of like Syntax. Why didn't you just buy some gas and open up your own gas station, right? Because Syntax knows what it's doing and they run a tight ship, and you know you went with that franchise because that's a good franchise. So that's what I am for cannabis, right? There's a lot of like I took over the which can first name fishing lake and Papikasi's already had stores, but they were failing because it's just mismanagement, right? You have to know the business. So when it came in, now they're both profitable stores.
Okay. And then in terms of expansion, let's say that we decide as a nation that we want to expand into let's say we want to open up something a little more urban and we want to open up a store somewhere like, let's say in Slave Lake, for instance, or one of the towns. Through your company, are we going to hit any kind of snags in terms of what we're able to do there? Or are we just limited to First Nations land?
Yes, we are. We have to be on reserve or urban reserve for the bylaws to be in effect, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Right. And yeah, if the nation wants its own store through the ALGC under a different brand, they can do that as well, right? So yeah. Okay. Yeah, and if the goal is ownership, we can um, always work together to for the bank because we are like lobbying these government groups to recognize and we reached out like, hey, we need this type of banking. Hey, they're like, oh, you have to be there's so many hurdles. You know how they do, they stretch it out and we'll meet you. And so but we are working on that. And if you guys were able to do it yourselves and just needed a supplier, I'm more than happy to be just a supplier. It's just a lot of the hurdles that I'm not gatekeeping. I could say this is how you do it, but it's still really hard um, to do without them being like, hey, like Soto, they told Soto they had to leave that BATC partnership because of the sovereign store, and they did because our store is making so much money, and 4 of the 5 stores closed. There's only one now in Nipawin, so.
just wondering for Mike, is there any comments online or questions so far? No? Okay.
Yeah. Um, sure. Yeah. And a lot of it too, say it's running like a dream, it's running like a ship. We can renegotiate after 5 years. Maybe you just need like certain things done by Realeaf and you want a bigger percentage. That's no problem with me either. We could we can even revisit after, we can even say 3 years with a renewal for two, and we can revisit how the partnership's going, and if I need can take a bigger step back and less profit, right? So the yeah, buy me out. Hey, man, no problem, no problem. My goal, my so kind of my thing is when I was doing medical, it was really helpful, and it was doing a lot of good for the people. But when they legalized, they left out so much for the medical people, and they made a lot of places close that were actually doing good. And then all these big corporations took over. You know, like people were doing the lottery. I had a friend who sold his store for like $1 million, and like is just a bunch of. So this is not is revenge by success, right? Just taking over the industry and doing it the right way, and just winning. You put me beside any government store, and we'll have 3 times more profit than them, for sure. Um,
Just to be clarify some stuff, or the way I'm understanding Manny is because he's on First Nations, we're not, they could control the prices because we got to also realize that it's more of a, I can't say lesser quality, but it's not as monitored as much. Is that's why they're staying on the nations. It doesn't have to go through the Alberta Gaming, where it's, you know, all their products monitorized and looked at and tested more frequently. So that's kind of a loophole, is what I'm hearing. Correct me if that's right, Mandy. That's basically why this product's only good for the First Nations, because we got our bylaws to protect us. But the biggest concern is the quality the same? That's what would be, that would be one of my questions.
right. So our quality is actually better. Um, everything we make is lab tested, and most of our edibles are in house. Um, so we are the same or better than the AGLC or the um, SGLA. Um, they just don't allow certain high dose stuff yet. Like 2 years ago, they didn't allow vapes and or extracts, and now they do. But their prices are still and their taxation is still way more. Like just for the price of the taxes, you could buy our product, right? And since you're on First Nations land, we don't charge tax for First Nation. If you don't have the status card, you do have to pay the GST in Alberta if you're a white guy or something like that, right? So we do remit tax. We do our taxes every year and all that. So or a black guy, yeah. I get it for free, man.
I do have a question from online. It's basically asking what it takes to be a cashier. Do they need their sell safe license?
No, because they teach different. They teach that you can't say things. We don't teach that. Like we like to help the customers with like just we train our staff with like common knowledge. We send like videos and stuff to watch and teach them on site, kind of in person training. So you don't need sell safe. Um, it's in house training, right? So I believe we start at 16 an hour. I think we start at 16 an hour and then raise after 3 months, and then the managers, I think they start 18 to 20, and then yeah, and it's tax free, so that's always good too. So
Another question here, Manny.
yeah.
If you were to open up here now with your employees, uh, is it like they could have a criminal record, or do you check on that? Because I'm sure that you're not gonna hire anybody that is gonna be able to, you know, do a little bit of different things just because they're behind the counter selling this stuff?
Well, we try not to. Funny story. No, I won't tell that story. It's a funny story. But we try not to hate on people because of a criminal record. But we do interviews, and we do like we do call their references and everything like that. But if someone got in trouble for fighting or selling weed or doing so, or maybe somebody was selling meth but wants to change their life, so we try to we try to include everyone, and everyone gets a chance, right? There's not a high turnover, but some people just try it and don't like it, but at least it's a learning experience. So
Just also, Edith, it being a nation-owned store, it would fall under our policies and procedures of hiring and who's there and all
Right.
that kind of stuff as well.
right, exactly. And we have payroll. There's it's direct deposit for the CPP is optional. So if you guys did want to take off CPP, we can do that as well. But
What's the buy-in?
for the nation, there's no cost to the nation at all. Really, we pay for everything, building or renos, upfront costs. It costs like the product to start the store costs about 50,000.
So you're bringing the facility here. Is the nation, say, enterprise or anybody charging you rent?
It depends on where the location is, right? So some nations have done that where there's a base rent and then there's the split, but the base rent comes before the split as like a store cost. So that's always an option too.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
There's something to think about in regards to garbage disposal and
Yeah, we pay for
environment and all that kind of stuff. But my next question is, should this be operational and approved? How is going to be ran under? Is it going to be ran under enterprise? Like who's going to be the boss of the store?
Realeaf runs all
Like the
operate.
board or whatever?
The board. Yeah. So,
Oh, so chief and council.
band member, yeah. And then also the bylaws which you guys enact, we would be subject to those. So you guys would probably have somebody in charge to make sure that we're following those bylaws as well.
So is there planning to be, should this move forward, a signing bonus?
You guys want to give me a signing bonus? No, I'm paying for like all of the stuff. So I don't really do signing bonuses, but I will do. We also do.
Let me just chime in here. So the way it's going to work is what they want to do is they're going to bring in all the costs. They're going to bring the building in. We're going to sign a 5-year lease. The only thing we never really talked about, like I said, is the lease part of charging a rent. But with that being said, they're going to bring in the product. It's not going to really cost the nation nothing at all. And after 5 years, we got to look at, we're not there yet, but would be a buyout. Do we want to keep it running the way it is at 51 or 49%? Or does the band want to take it over? And how would that look? But that's going to take 5 years down the road because it's not something we're just going to jump in. It has to prove itself that it's feasible and whatnot. And if it doesn't make any money, they're the ones that are taking a chance. They're the ones that invested in the building. They're the ones that say, hey, we got to leave here in 2 or 3 years, but the cost is going to be on them.
Okay, so what is your track record in regards to lawsuits since you started?
Oh, there's so there in one nation there's a lady who owned a gas station, but her lease was up, and she sued the nation and because they wanted to build a big plex there, but she didn't want to move yet. So they included Realeaf in the lease because we're in the same parking lot. but there's never been an employee, and that's actually dead. She just did it to scary wonders. That was like 2 years ago, and nothing's really happened. So I think it's just gonna fall off. But there's been no one in the store that sued, no returns. Actually, no, there are a couple of times a vape might not work, like 1 out of 100. But there's been no suits, no lawsuits. Like nobody's fallen, nobody's got bad product, nobody. So zero, other than the lady that was mad that her lease was up, but that wasn't. We're kind of like collateral
It's
damage.
more of an administration kind of lawsuit, not a personal death kind of illness lawsuit
Yeah,
from your product.
yeah.
Okay,
Nothing,
so
nothing like that.
you're not regulated by AGCL. So health-wise, how do you determine your percentages for THC
Right.
in your
So
product?
right. So we do have testing. Like we do.
Who's
have,
your tester?
we have in-house testing. It's actually pretty cheap.
So you guys test your own product?
Yeah, some of it we sent out. Some of it we sent out for like the edibles and stuff. Without giving away too much information, how we do everything. But the oil is tested. Like our main the main distillate oil is tested before we make any edibles, and after that, it's just a recipe. So you can tell per batch. You can use a waxy calculator and anything like that. With the flower itself, there's actually an app, and you just order this little machine, and then you put it in, and it goes to like a lab in Europe, and then you get back the result for the cannabis.
No,
For the
I'm asking
THC level.
because when cannabis first came legalized, there was issue with Alberta Health in terms of levels of THC, and I think it was Canna
Canna Cabana.
that exceeded their THC level,
Oh.
so they went belly up. So that's why I'm asking who monitors your THC and in each other your products, like the oils, like the gummies, like the flour.
Right. So each one's different and how you make it and how you would test it, though. So with with the flour, even if you tested government cannabis, the depending on how long it's been on the shelf, the cannabinoids would change. Like even hemp, it can turn into THC slowly, right? So our testing is accurate, but like 2 days later, it could degrade and be 2% lower. Um, that's with all cannabis across the board. It's not like alcohol where you put it in a bottle and it's always going to be 5%, right? But we can provide test results as well. And you can see what I mean. It's just a lot of different types.
Well,
of
it's kind of biased. If you're testing your own drug, of course you can always say it's good,
yeah, of course.
and
So
it's 100%, and
all-
you'll get high in one hoot
all
or
licensed
whatever.
all licensed producers.
It doesn't do nothing when you do your safe testing. You do your in-house safe testing. So does that mean you guys are qualified to say take this much of weed if you're diabetic or not diabetic or have epilepsy or whatever? Like, what is
We-
the safe
We don't prescribe.
safe training?
We don't
I know
prescribe.
you're not authorized to prescribe, but
Yeah.
what I'm asking is, what kind of safe training in-house do you do?
Well,
What does that entail?
like earlier today, somebody had arthritis pain. I said, where's your arthritis pain? She's like, my leg hurts. And I said, this cream would be really good to rub on your leg. So it's kind of like that if someone has zero knowledge. But I'm not going to be like, take 10 milligrams of THC and smoke it every day at 4 o'clock, stuff like that. We just provide the knowledge of what each product will do for you and the results.
I went into Slave Lake and I asked, I'd never been into one of those stores, but I wanted to know what I could get for my arthritis. But they said they're not allowed to tell me anything. I have to walk in, I have to know what product I want, and that's it. Or go to my doctor, ask my doctor, then come back to them and buy the product. They would give me no information whatsoever on anything.
And that's the rule that the government employees have to follow. Where I could say, if your leg hurts, this cream should do the job, right? but it's also, check with your doctor if you're on medication before you take it. But this is what has worked with for other customers, and this is what we recommend. So it's not prescribing, but it's giving knowledge of our products. Yeah, see, you right, and a lot of people are new at it, and you're just, what do you mean you can't tell me? So exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you guys for that. Filled out your surveys and stuff and your comments that you left. I do want to read a comment, and it'll be for Chief and Council here. It'll be, where will the revenue go from this venture if it goes forward? And what's going to happen with, will there be added security around or any addictions treatment or anything like that?
So those details never been worked out. It's always going to have to be invested into the nation somehow. Approval from the people of probably what they want to see with the funds, but we got to make sure, like everything what Mandy's saying is, if we add on extra security, extra whatever, insurance, cement, it's going to be brought out at a profit. So we're basically taking the profit we would have got and taking it from ourselves. So what's he saying is he's going to take all the expenses out first before Driftball gets a profit. So anything we add or anything that we bring in, if we bring in extra security guards, extra staff, we're paying for it because it's going to come out of our profit at the end of the day, our 51%. He's paying for it, we're paying for it. But that's how we got to realize anything we bring on, anything extra, it's coming out at a profit at the end of the day. And that's why all businesses are run, but that's just want to make that clear.
Hi. So as a band member, I gotta be completely honest. I'm sitting here with the survey, and I haven't checked the box yet because I want to make sure myself that I know exactly what's going on. Because this it's gonna have effects either way. Anything that we do is gonna have effects. So I just wanted to get a little bit more information. So I'm just kind of looking at, in terms of, like, because the product is not regulated, who would be held liable if there's any kind of incidents? Because we're 51% holders in that, then that would make the nation liable. And then also, um, like, what is the regulation standard to mitigate those kind of incidences?
Right. So Realeaf would be responsible, like if someone's sued for anything. That's why it'd be out through a lease, right? But it's 51% of the profit, not ownership, even though it is ownership, but for the protection of the nation, it would be through a lease, right? Um, the to mitigate the products, it's like which product. So our flour, it comes from well-known, like my well-known suppliers, which are great. We don't radiate, but we use the proper nutrients to grow. Um, the bath bombs are made Health Canada approved facility. Um, all of these all of these products are made in house in our kitchen. Other than like three, like the transdermal patches, we don't make those, but that's from a supplier. Um, the only thing that because they're made with distillate, right? So your biggest problem with like the brownie is it going rotten or stale, not being mixed with some sort of weird chemical or anything like that. Um, and we just have a first in first out, and we don't make too much. And if we have thrown out product that is old, right? So that's our biggest problem is old product, not bad product, but old product. Um,
Let me chime in here, Mandy. I think what the real question that's coming out in April actually hit it nail on the head there is, and that's concerning for me too, like the product testing. Like that's, I don't know if we need to see maybe next time at meeting number 2, you bring out your results, not just the result, but what criteria are you following? Like what's how much oil's going into this, how much oil's going to that. I think that's what the people are looking for, of that kind of a criteria. And what happens if one of your employees puts too much? Like those are real legit questions. That's what worries me too. Those are the kind of questions I would need to answer. Where if it's regulated from the government, we know it's tested. Those are the things that people are gonna have to think about. You know, the difference between not being tested fully 100% to the way that you're kind of getting tested, doing your own results. I think that's a lot of the answers that need to be questioned, and that could be followed up with another meeting and a proper presentation. Now that Mandy knows what's the questions are coming from the people and what kind of answers they're looking for. If that's kind of what you're getting at, Laurent, as well, that's kind
Just to clarify what I was, exactly. It's kind of like along the lines of, you know, the like, where is the regulation? You know what I mean? Like, who is regulating? Because if you're, if you're making your own product and you're doing this and you're saying this is what, what percentage and you're doing, but who's regulating that? You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of, that's kind of the question where I'm at. And then also, in addition to your suppliers, who's regulating them and are they accredited, you know, as suppliers in that sense? Right. So this is kind of a few questions, I just wanted to be, open and honest about, like, like I
Very
said,
clear.
I'm on the fence. I understand, the equity of it. I understand the potential of it. And I understand that in essence, medicinal cannabis can be really helpful, and, there's a lot of pros to it. But I just want to make sure as a nation, that because we have to look out for our people, and we have to think about our children. We have to think about our people who is going to be, because the majority of the people buying the product are going to be from here. You know what I'm saying? So I want to make sure that we're safe in that regard.
100%. Yeah, and we have been in operation on First Nation for, this will be our third year. We just passed our third year without any problems and stuff. But I understand exactly where you're coming from. Like, where is it coming from? How do you test it? We do test, but we don't test every single product. We do batch testing, but I understand, and I'll bring some and provide some testing and give you more of a of what you want to see there on the next round. No problem.
Hello. I'm kind of too on the fence, like my cousin Laurent there. It's no secret that I'm a weed smoker from way back, so I'm kind of on the fence. But when cannabis and this stuff became legal, I accessed the product CBD, so with no THC. And my reasons for accessing that was for back pain, for anxiety, and to regulate my um, flare-ups from skin cancer. So when it came legal and I tried CBD, um, after maybe 3 months, I uh, I didn't have any flare-ups, and I didn't have any back pain, and it took away my diabetes. So in saying that, I had to go personally through different products till I found out what worked for me, because I was diabetic for close to 5 years and being on a metformin and being on the blood pressure medication and cholesterol and stuff. So some of the CBD oils, it's conflicted with the certain types of drugs that were still in my body from the diabetes. So when I found out one that worked for me, and I've been diabetic free now going on, yeah, diabetes free going on 4 years now. The product that I was using is discontinued. So I know that it helped me in a medical sense that way. Um, but then again, I also have an issue with regulating the THC concentration of it, because if the youth coming up and saying that, oh yeah, this is good or whatever, and all of a sudden go into a blackout and a seizure and not come out wherever, that that's where my concern lies. So maybe if it's gonna be approved, it should just be not THC with THC. But then I don't know how many people would not want to get high. Don't know.
So I got to follow up to those comments and what everybody else has heard. There's concerns out there for sure, but in all your stores and all the reserves that you've been in, has there been any negative episodes from any of their members that have been using this and buying this? Has there anybody that's been blacked out, passed out, seizures, any kind of negative effect from using your products? Has there anything been documented?
One time, a guy didn't wake up from work after he drank the juice crystals. He slept in. That's about it. So,
Okay.
but with the high dose edible, you do have to go slow. Like you don't if you haven't tried that stuff, very high caution. Like don't do it, because you could throw up if you have too much. So, but we make sure to caution everybody.
Are your levels the same as like the government regulated stuff? Say your edibles, right? You say they're 10 milligrams. Are they 10 milligrams the same as the other stuff, or are you higher or lower?
Yeah, 10 milligrams is 10 milligrams. There's a new way that it depends, right? Because 10 milligrams of cannabinoids, or do you mean like of THC? We're like that. So we make our products with distillate, and they're usually about 97% THC, and then the rest would be cannabinoids. So our 10 milligrams is 10 milligrams, but we have like much higher to fight like the opioids, much higher edibles that you can get, as well as the low dose edibles as well. But our 200 milligram pack would be as much as their 10 milligram pack, right? Um, and that's how, when we dose, it's very accurate. I can tell you guys more about it.
And are your recipes the same as like a government issued edible?
No, so so when a licensed producer has a processing license, they take that processing license and send their process of how they make an edible to Health Canada for approval, and it'd be like a SOP, standard operation procedure, of how they do that. So we have our own standard operating procedures of how we make an edible, from step A to step B, the ingredients, how to warm it. It's not hard, but you do have to be accurate. Just like when you're making something in any kitchen, but you do have to be very accurate, because you don't want to have too much, and we don't, because you could lose money, or people could be angry that they didn't have the right amount of dosage, right? So, it, some of our processes are the same, um, and some of them are. It depends what product you're making. That's the main thing. All quality controlled, yes.
So I guess I just want to talk about the pros and cons. I guess just want to be honest, fair to the people of what we did. Do a little bit of survey online. There is some questions I've been reading through, and some of the questions are we going to start enticing our youth to get hooked on drugs? And those are legit questions. I'm just bringing it up. I want you guys to take it home, think about these questions, these comments, and because I think they're really legit. So we know we have troubled people on the nation. You know, we know there's addictions out, and we're not going to stop it. We can't stop it. We could, put all the drug dealers in jail. Next day, there's going to be a new one. every nation's running through the same thing. You know, one of the pros to it is we try to help the people that are addicted with clean product. You know, if is it's safer stuff buying from a store versus buying from a drug dealer that's making something in his shed. You know, those are the things I want you guys to think about and whatnot. Like the medical side, to me, I think that's something, you know, that's very positive. It helps. We heard from elders that it does help them. Patu is a perfect example. She found something, you know, cured her diabetes and made her a healthier person. So on a medical side, there is some good stuff, some bad, well, not bad stuff, but the good stuff is what I'm hearing. But those are the real concerns, the pros and cons. And you guys think about that overnight. We'll take the surveys, we'll look at them. We're not just going to count them up and say, yes, it's approved by how many people did the survey, or we want to do it right. We think this is a big commitment here. We want to make sure the communities, you know, in favor as much as possible. This is something that they want because the plan would be to put it by the store because that makes business sense. It's attracting all the traffic to store, then they could go, you know, into that store to buy some stuff if they wanted to. But some cannabis. I'll call it cannabis. Yeah. But that's how we're thinking at things right now. And we'll look, like I said, we'll look at the surveys. We'll set up another meeting. He's got to bring us some little more better details. We'll have it on the jumbotron or whatever it's called, and we'll see what criteria they follow as real leaf and whatnot. I think that's the best bet. If you guys have any more suggestions of what you want to see at the next meeting, how you guys want to move forward, by all means, let us know. Go ahead, Patu.
I just had a final question. I think why go with real leaf? Like why don't we cut out the middleman and do it on our own? Do our own BCR, solicit for dispensary, one that is Alberta regulated, health wise. Like it's just a thing to think of. When you have a next meeting, come back with that data. Which way would go good? This guy, no offense, but other options. Other options should be if we're going to look at this and go hard and go strong, then we should go right.
And that's fair enough. Actually, we will look into that data of how it looks if we did it ourselves, regulated under the Alberta regulation, how that will look and what cost, because obviously there's a cost for anything. So yeah, we'll do a little bit of research there. We'll get Donnie, our chops, to do a little bit of research and background and have that ready for the next meeting as well. Any more? Oh, go ahead.
Who go? So, s- so all the way from All Nations Cannabis, but they're an LP now. They were supplying us. They do. We work with them on something. They're out of Chilliwack. We have some Six Nations with the Mohawks. We also have I forget what they're called there by Victoria in the warehouse, and then it's MMAR. So like a lot of people who are court injuncted. Remember those? I don't know if you're a grower. Remember those long pink sheets when the first growers they're all injuncted. So a lot of old school growers. Um, that have won. There was just a court case where medical cannabis set precedents. It's still not. It still doesn't meet the needs of the Canadian people. So you're actually going to see a lot more medical dispensaries popping up in the next few months. It's sealed right now, but it's going to unseal. That was a Supreme Court decision like a month or two ago. Um,
I'm actually more along the terms of, um, like, say you're going to use sunflower or whatever. How good is their product? How long does it last? Who's growing it? You know, like stuff like that. We need to know about the product that you're bringing here to make sure that it's going to be good stuff and it's going to last and it's going to bring like a good product.
Right. So the growers I've been working with has been for over 5 years, and it's always good. I actually have samples here that you can come see. You can do a visual inspection. And like I said, when we come back, first meeting, right? So now I know you want more technical, so you're gonna want lab results, which is fine. I can provide those. You're gonna probably want some financials, which is fine. Anything else, just let chief and council know, and I'll bring. And then you'll know. Like I can't give you my suppliers' names and addresses, right? But I can give you the lab results from them.
I think just comments like I would like to know how often do you test? Like is there 3 batches, then you do a test? Like those are the kind of stuff I think that would be beneficial to the people, so they just have a comfortable feeling that the product that you'll be bringing is safe. That's our biggest concern, is anything that's brought into the nation, and if our people are using it, we want to make sure it's safe as
Some
much as possible.
some of our product is actually from LPs, but you never heard that from me. For sure. I'll bring testimonies from the nations and the members and employees to show the positive impact as well that we've had. Visit. Yeah, come to North Battleford. For sure. And Alberta's just opening up. Like we're in talk with Alexis, Saddle Lake. We had a couple more, not Satina, maybe Satina. So I have a feeling there's going to be a lot more First Nation stores opening in Alberta, and that's the plan. So it'd be good to start here and grow with you guys.
Yeah, let's have some closing comments here, I think, Chief, and from the council on the table, and away we go.
Talk about Alberta. You're having the success in Saskatchewan right now with all those nations there, and BC also. But this will be the first store in Alberta.
Right. This will be the first Realeaf in Alberta. I think there are some like smaller First Nation stores that are kind of off the map, but we do like we've invited the RCMP to our grand openings and stuff like that. Like we do want approval and we do want to work with the government, but you guys are sovereign. And if, the main thing is if you feel that this is like a medical need and a good alternative for the people other than hard drugs, this is I believe it's a very good alternative. Plus, you're taking money away from people who could be selling meth and weed, and bringing it back into the nation, back to the people as well, right? So it's a good way to siphon the money and use it for the nation, as well as help. Even if it helps 5 people, and the rest of the people are just having fun with it, that's 5 people that it helped that aren't on hard drugs anymore, right? So it has changed lives as well, right?
Just with the legality of it too, and you talked about it previously about you having the lawyers and ready to, if they were to come and try to shut us down, that you have the lawyers and you're ready to fight them in court.
Oh yes, 100%. That's what they're here for, the people. We're doing it, and it would be me. It would be me. Like I've had medical stores. One was raided. Paid for all the employees, staff. None of them went to jail. They all got. The lawyer said that's very rare. I don't think employees would really be arrested. They might come in, raid, and close it down, and then approach. Like I'm the guy who would be in trouble, not the nation, right? And I pay for all legal costs if there were ever to happen. Been in operation for 3 years. There's never been. The police are our friends. They've never came in a negative way to us, So.
All right, I'll just pass it down to council. Any more comments from the gallery before we do some closing comments on our end? If not, go ahead, Caroline, and I'll do the last ones.
I just want to say thank you. Oh, we've got a question up there. Go ahead. The difference between CBD and THC.
So THC is psychoactive. It will get you high. CBD won't get you high. They're both from the cannabis plant. Um, so hemp, you can get CBD, but not really THC from hemp. There's ruderalis. I won't go that deep into it, but THC will get you high. CBD won't, but they both have good medical benefits. CBD would be more for like pain and healing cells. That's why it's good for fighting cancer. And THC is also good for pain and sleep and things like that.
Hold on, one more, Caroline. Rick, go ahead. It's basically it's going to be, and then you're right. It's going to be a competition, but we're not. We're not going to go say let's be lower than Lucas. We'd probably want fair market value for our prices, just like the store. Like
Are they part of the nation? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just if I could comment on that, Chief, just as a economic development perspective, we want to circulate as much money as we can on reserve. This is why we're looking at it. We know our people are going to Canoe, so we're going to Sucker Creek, High Prairie, Slave Lake, but that costs extra. That takes what limited income that's on the reserve off the reserve. The more money we can circulate here, the better it is for everybody. Unfortunately, Jerry and I don't know the K Town guys, it's an unfortunate part of business, but we're here to look after our members first.
Sorry. So I don't know if this store is going to do that good, but one store makes 200,000 a year after cost of employees and overhead and product. The nation's 51% is 50,000. So those are some numbers. But as profits go down, the money goes down. But so we do focus on profit, but helping profit. Well, 600,000 a year. Is it worth? The nation likes it, and it goes to programs for the people and stuff. Um, I think it's worth it. It's good profit. Um, it even if it's 10 grand a month and 4 jobs and like that. I know it might not be huge, but we're doing what we can, doing what I can.
go ahead.
We could do a program for recovering. Oh, I'm sorry.
We don't have all the answers, obviously. If we did, we would implement it a long time ago. So, but what we're looking for is, and like I said earlier, like the people that are have those major addictions, we're hoping instead of getting their hit or whatever from someone making it in a shed, they would go onto this, like he said, the gummies, and start reducing them at the end of the day, it's got to come down to the person wanting to change, and we can't fix that as chief and council. But we're trying to give them options to say, hey, maybe these gummies could help you reduce you get from getting the meth, needle every day that you need to just to kind of run for the day, and slowly get, hopefully at the end of the day, we start taking some of the profit from the drug dealers out there as well, because they're going to start coming to the store. That's kind of a pro and con. You could do it either way, but at least we know this is a little safer. It's not the answer, but it's a safer drug. And seeing our people, on the roads nowadays, just looking into the sky, not knowing what the heck's going on. We're trying to do something, bring them some options. We do have our healing lodge that's obviously gonna hopefully be part of this too somewhere. Like they got to get help as well, but that's the main goal, is for someone not to take meth from something that's being made in a shed and killing. Okay, I got Kayla, then Derek. Okay, Derek. So what we'll do some closing comments. Then Mandy will move the table maybe out to the middle. You guys could kind of sample the product or whatever you guys want. Ask your questions, but we'll bring it out. And if you guys have any questions for Manny, he'll go ahead and answer them for you. Okay, Derek.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just want to thank you guys personally for coming out, making the efforts and the time to come spend some time with one another. Yeah, we knew that it was going to be a sensitive conversation and a sensitive topic. I want to thank Relief and ECDev, Jonathan, and the team here. Anytime we have opportunities like this, we have to be mindful of what is the type of direction and what ventures and avenues does the nation want to go. Yes, we know that this is always a sensitive topic. If we take our minds back about 4 years, 4.5 years, I recall we were potentially venturing with this entity that goes by the name of Indigenous Blooms, coming out of British Columbia somewhere in the Chilliwack territory. But where I'm going with this is such opportunities like this that potentially could benefit the community and for many years to come. Maybe it could prosper, but then again, on a flip side, this is just an introductory meeting. We always say, that, whether it be 1, 2, 10, or 20 meetings, but max 3, on a high end. We need to be respectful and mindful at any time you have the opportunity to sit down with your leadership. Um, we just want to thank the people for making the efforts. Maybe there'll be a better turnout, better outcome. Want to thank the individuals that are hit and miss coming on, showing some interest online as well. But other than that, it is something to think about. To summarize everything we've gathered from partnership from 51-49 in our favor, and the potential opportunity is and the main goal is to actually uh, buy any company out that we go in JB with at any time. So these are some of the things that our people need to be mindful about in terms of alleviating some form of stress regarding the addictees is what I normally call them, troubled members. We try to do the best we can and offer some sort of assistance. Like the chief had mentioned, that was the goal and the vision when Relief had a sit down, including one of our very own, Shane Freeman, through indirectly. So the Healing Lodge, mental health, and that health department there definitely would be more than happy and appreciative to do their part, as servants to the nation to try to bring our community back up to speed. So these are definitely, interesting conversations, in terms of what direction does Driftpile Cree Nation want to go. Just keep in mind, it's just an opportunity. That's all it is. Nothing signed, nothing is written in stone. So just like you guys to take that into consideration. It's either going to fly, it's going to flop, whether it be 1 year, 3 years, and just something to think about. So just wanted to say that. Thanks for coming out. Thanks.
All right. Yeah, we thank you as well. We want to thank, just like my colleague Derek said, Realeaf for coming out, starting the process, answering a few questions, and all the questions we heard were really legit questions today. And it's something, this is a big deal for Driftball Cree Nation. We know we've always been against drugs, been also against bringing a liquor store here. So that's why we said we want to make sure the people on the nation are 100% with this, or at least 80%. And it will be up to you guys if you guys want us to bring this and pursue this opportunity or not. But obviously, after we get some more information. So thank you very much. We definitely appreciate Real Leaf. Johnny, thank you as well for setting this up. Thanks Shane out there, our band member, for cooking. Give him a round of applause. I don't know if he could hear us. Yeah. So we'll move up the table up, or if you guys want to come to the back, come and look at the samples. No youth can come back here, unfortunately. You got to be over 18. I'm sorry, youth, but you got to be over 18. All right, thank you. Yeah, we'll figure out the dates for the next meeting, and we'll post it. No, go ahead, bro. I'm good. I'm good. All right. Maybe we'll have to.